While the feminist movement waged on, so did the anti-Vietnam War protests.
Anti-war demonstrators protest U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War in mass marches, rallies, and demonstrations. Central Park is the starting point for the parade to the UN building. The estimated 125,000 Manhattan marchers include students, housewives, beatnik poets, doctors, businessmen, teachers, priests, and nuns.
This may be clearly seen in the following All in the Family episode, where a young man hiding in Canada from the Vietnam draft enters the bunker home, which didn't just show the anti-war feelings in the U.S.
He's a deserter from the army or something, is that?
No, sir. I'm not a deserter.
Well, I didn't think you was. I was just trying to figure out...
I'm a draft dodger.
What did he say?
But also the drastic differences in opinion on the war between the younger and older generations, represented here in Archie and Mike.
Christ!
Look, Arch, what David did took a lot of guts.
My own father doesn't understand. Why should he?
When the hell are you going to admit that the war was wrong?
I ain't talking about that war. I don't want to talk about that rotten damn war no more. I'm talking about something else. And what he done was wrong. Saying he won't go. Well, you think the whole people of this country can say whether or not they want to go to war? You couldn't get a decent war off the ground that way.
At the same time, the race and civil rights riots of the late 60s were still fresh and relevant, so the portrayal of the black families, affluent and upper class in the Jeffersons was not only new, but very opposite to the usual. Because this portrayal of life...
Well, we're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
was very different than this.
The worst race riots since those 2 years ago in the Watts section of Los Angeles rocked New Jersey's largest city, Newark, for 5 consecutive days and nights. At least 24 persons are killed, more than 1,800 wounded, some 1,400 arrested. Despite patrolling by city and state police, millions of dollars in property damage is done. Looters wreck and clean out scores of shops in the Negro ghetto district.
Lear did not only affect the world through his career in television, but through actively promoting individual rights and his own political views. In 1980, Lear formed the group People for the American Way, a non-profit organization designed to speak out for Bill of Rights guarantees and to educate, energize, and equip Americans to build a country that more fully reflects the values of freedom, fairness, and opportunity in a diverse democratic society. People for the American Way is dedicated to making the promise of America real for every American. Mr. Lear, bothered by the amount of eligible young voters that weren't doing their part, also began the nonpartisan organization Declare Yourself. After using his various TV shows to promote political activism, from the aforementioned outspoken Maud's views to Archie Bunker's more conservative, bigoted views, Lear knows that having an opinion, especially at such a young age, is crucial. Of Declare Yourself, Lear said, "If you get them voting at 18, they'll be lifetime voters."
I got it. I got it.
I'm voting because when I was growing up, my father told me that if you don't vote, then you have to shut up.
I vote because I fell in love and I want it to matter.
Vote because for the first time ever, an African American can end up in the White House.
Vote because for the second time in history, a woman is running for vice president.
If you're not voting for yourself, vote for people like me.
Vote for the future of your children.
I'm voting because the bank that was funding my daughter's school loan just closed.
I'm voting because I care about gun control.
I'm voting for education, health care.
I'm voting because I want a voice.
These revolutionary ads help to increase awareness in voting by using current young actors and actresses and delivering their messages in a light-hearted but direct manner. However, Lear was not only interested in the activism of young minds, but to actually share America's history. In order to educate the American people on their birth document, Lear purchased an original copy of the Declaration of Independence, the Dunlap broadside, and in 2001 went on a road trip showcasing it to America.
Presumed to be about 200 copies that were printed the night of July 4th, 1776, by a fellow by the name of John Dunlap down the street from Constitution Hall. And they were sent immediately the next morning by horseback around the 13 colonies, read in the town squares and so forth. So the 13 colonies had this information as quickly as they could. And there are 25 that exist in the world today. The rest in institutions, not just in America, but in England and elsewhere. And this one in private hands, we bought it simply to travel it, so that kids in 50 states could see the country's birth certificate. And that's the way I always think of it, because it was printed the night of.
Though Norman Lear's shows were groundbreaking back in the day, their messages are still relevant now, which can be seen even in the spoofs in the following clips.
Wait, away, come she played.
Soul Train was a hit parade.
Pros like us, we had it made. Those were the days.
And you knew who you were then.
There were no black Republicans. Mister, we could use a man like Marcus Garvey again. Lady Godiva was a freedom rider. She didn't care if the whole world looked. Joan of Arc with the Lord to guide her. She was a sister who really cooked. Madame Curie was a strong woman character, working all day in a science lab, yeah. Clara Barton was a famous nurse who was rapping with the soldiers and bandages too. Susan B. Anthony, always out doing stuff, marching around and holding up signs.
And then there's Maud.
Pocahontas.
What the hell?
Norman Lear left us with a new view on television, politics, and American history. He has changed the course of history in the very way it is presented to the general public. But what was Lear's goal in all of this?
How would you like people to remember you? What would you like your legacy to be?
He felt he mattered, and he did. No, that's not. We all matter. If I could help people understand, they all matter. My sister in Connecticut doesn't wish to write the letter to the mayor because she's not Norman Lear where it would matter. She's only Claire Lear. And I tell her, but if you appreciate the creator's enterprise here, that this be one planet among a billion, in a universe of which there may be a billion universes, then can you measure the distance between how much any two of us matter? You know, between me and Jonas Salk, or Jonas Salk and Caesar, between any two of us, you can't measure the distance. We matter. I believe in the butterfly effect for human beings. We matter.
So what would people say about you? What would you like them to say?
He mattered.
And you knew when you were there.
Dance for girls and men, woman. Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. If there's no welfare states,
Everybody pulls his weight.
G.R. all the sour and gray. No.